All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining tonight's webinar, our alumni webinar for automotive engineering. Whoop, whoop. All right, a look at what we're going to cover tonight, a bit of our introduction. So I am the recruiter for Automotive Engineering Program. Alicia Markey is my name. You've probably gotten multiple emails from me. So thank you for reading those emails and coming tonight. So I appreciate it. We'll have our alum introduce herself in a minute here. And in after that introduction, I'm sure she'll cover the auto overview there, and then we'll jump right into Q&A. So any questions that you have about like the university, the program, just your courses, anything like that, please feel free to ask. And then we also will cover application deadlines because those are coming up here. And then contact info if there's any other questions that come up after the webinar, please don't hesitate to reach out. So I shall turn it over to our esteemed alum, Danielle.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Danielle. I am obviously a recent graduate of the University of Michigan, where I studied automotive engineering. Currently, I work at North American Subaru Incorporated, or just Subaru, over in Van Buren Township, which is about 20 minutes from the University of Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan, sorry, in Ann Arbor. Some of the projects that I work on while I am at Subaru, I work on primarily EVs. So I'm working on the charging performance in extreme weather, like the extreme cold that we have sometimes here in Michigan. Um, for while I was at Michigan, I was a part of a club called Spark Electric Racing, which is where we design, build, and then race an electric motorcycle. Some of the classes that I took were internal combustion engines, vehicle dynamics, hybrid electric vehicles, and vehicle crashworthiness, which feel free to ask me about, but I'm not going to give you the class overview while we're here. I obviously took some more as well if you'd like to ask me about those. So, yeah, not a very long introduction, but please feel free to ask me any questions that you might have.
Great. I have some questions to start us off, Danielle.
Sure.
What kind of like drew you into the automotive engineering program at U of M? Because I know there's like so many different programs that the university offers. So like what specifically about automotive engineering was like, this is it for me?
Sure. I always knew I wanted to study automotive engineering since I was in my undergrad, actually. It's what I studied while I was there. So I only actually looked at schools that had automotive engineering to begin with. But what really drew me into Michigan specifically, I think, was the amount of job opportunities that were available outside of Michigan in the automotive industry specifically. Um, a lot of car companies are evidently based in Detroit, like all the American car companies. And it's also close enough to Indianapolis that there are racing opportunities as well. So I wanted to come here mostly because I knew either whatever sort of sector of the automotive industry I'd end up in, I knew I would at least very likely end up in one of them if I came here.
Being close to the heart of the Motor City is very nice with our program.
Yes.
That makes sense. So when you were, I know you listed some of your classes here, but
Mhm.
do you have like a favorite class that stood out to you that you, because I know like, these are probably maybe some of them are here that your favorite, like what was your absolute favorite one?
I really like the vehicle dynamics class, to be honest. One of the things I'm interested in is engines, so I was really hoping I would like that class, and it was a very good class. But the vehicle dynamics class was sort of based around racing, which I'm very interested in. Every week we would have an assignment that we would do in a program called CarSim, and we would have to sort of tailor a car to the assignment. So whether it was being the fastest lap, being the most comfortable, we would have to sort of change the suspension and the wheels and everything like that to make it the best car for that assignment. And I found that really interesting and just it taught me a lot more about cars than somebody just sitting there lecturing me about like, oh, this suspension would be the best to make the ride most comfortable. I thought it was better to actually see those values in a program, get to learn it.
That's really nice too about our program because you talked about how the program has all these different courses and, not just, sitting getting lectured at. But the
Mhm.
program itself, especially automotive engineering, has industry experts. Art Hyde, the grandfather of the Mustang here. So you have people that are academic, experts, but also people in the industry that are, hands-on, working in the field too. I think it's really nice. I know this is kind of not about our program, but I'm still interested about your current project that you brought up
Mhm.
about the extreme weather charging because of Michigan's lovely winter weather. My background says it. I love the snow here. I'm from the upper peninsula of Michigan, so we get very cold, cold weather. When you're doing this extreme weather charging, do you
Mhm.
ever find yourself going to different areas of like the country, not just Michigan, to do testing, like in extreme heat and extreme cold for the EVs? Could you just expand on that a little bit more? I'm just very interested on that. So I apologize if no one else is, but
Yeah, I actually just last week I got back from Colorado. We were testing in the mountains for cold weather, how the vehicles perform, specifically like their power limitations when the battery was really cold, things like that. So I do get to travel. People have gone to California, Arizona. We're talking about even going to Hawaii actually for some hot weather testing. That one's a bit on the rocks, but we're pushing for it, so we'll see if we get to go there. But yes, I do get to travel for it. It's actually really important to test different areas of the country because one of the things that is really important in designing a car is considering the entirety of the US market. You're obviously not just designing it for Michigan or for California or something like that. So we do get to travel quite a bit and test the cars in different areas, like charging, like power limitation, a bit of a different areas that, yeah, we do get to travel. It's very fun.
that's so nice.
It
Very
was
fun.
cold.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully Hawaii is fingers crossed for you.
Thank you, thank you. I'm hoping I get chosen if we do go.
All right, another question about the degree specifically. How do you think the degree has impacted your career? Do you think it has impacted the career at all? Do you see yourself like using anything that you've learned from the degree?
I'll admit I work primarily on electric vehicles and I do not like electricity or electric vehicles too much, so I did not choose those classes while I was at the university, and it has impacted my career negatively. I should have chosen those classes. But in terms of, I would say it's quite simple, but just having the degree has impacted my career really well. I would say a lot of people rate it very highly. They think, oh, a degree from the University of Michigan, this person has obviously learned a lot. They know a lot. They know they've got discipline. They've got a few other characteristics that would be good for the job market. So I would say it was a very big advantage to me to have this degree, just simply going into my career in order to get a job. But um, I would say overall, it's just made me like it made me happier as a person. I didn't really get to have the college experience that I wanted due to COVID. So coming here, I got to have a little bit more of that. So I would say it made me feel a bit more fulfilled in my life getting to have that experience.
You hear that? What advice would you give to a student starting this program?
Um, this might not sound good for the program, but I would just say do the work. I found a lot of people, and I would not limit this just to the University of Michigan. A lot of people are in it just to get the degree and not necessarily to learn from it. So my advice would be to actually put in the work and learn things. Because everybody comes from sort of a diverse background, a lot of the classes you're going to have to teach yourself certain things because you're not going to have learned it maybe like everybody else who went to the university as an undergraduate or who went to a different program. So put in the work to learn the things yourself and be like a better student for it instead of simply being like, oh, I can do this by having my friend help me. I'm going to do that and I'm going to get this nice prestigious degree and it'll all be okay because you're going to want to know stuff at university and your career, sorry.
No, that makes sense. So we have a question that came in. So the question is, since Michigan is a center for automotives, what sort of benefit experience have you had because of this environment?
Um, One of the primary things that I noticed about Michigan being like a center for automotive is there are a lot of racing teams involved. And I'm not sure if you're interested in this sort of thing, but there are a lot of student racing teams that you can get involved in. And I was a part of one, so I'm biased, but I would highly recommend getting involved in one, especially if you're interested in any sort of performance related outcome in your career. They look very highly on this experience with the student racing team or any sort of project team at all. So one of the things that I noticed primarily is definitely that there's a lot of different options that you get to choose from in that sort of area. Another thing is kind of like I mentioned before, the job opportunities. There's just a lot of companies to choose from, hypothetically, that you can even just look at. There's the American companies, there's Japanese companies, there's Korean companies. There's just a lot of companies who, even if they're not necessarily based out of here, they have some sort of headquarters here and they're looking to hire. And I think a lot of companies also look here as well. Even if they're not based out of here, they might be looking to relocate you, but they're definitely looking here as a center for automotive.
Yep. And to point out the kind of career opportunities, so as a Michigan student, you'll have access in a College of Engineering student, you have access to the Engineering Career Resource Center. So it's called the ECRC for short. We love acronyms here too. You'll learn that when you become a student. So that office helps you with resume reviews. They'll even look at your LinkedIn reviews, mock interviews, even salary negotiation appointments. And they also give you access to the job board. So this job board has postings that are literally like daily. So they have internship, co-op, and full-time opportunities. And they also help with the two large career fairs that happen. And those career fairs happen in the fall and the winter semester, and they bring in over 300 companies to campus. And those are just for our College of Engineering students. So those companies are just coming here looking for our College of Engineering students. So those are great ways to network and get to kind of build those relationships with recruiters. So as long as you take advantage of utilizing these career opportunities, I think there's a lot of opportunities for our students.
Yeah, would highly recommend going to the career fairs. That's how I got one of my internships.
Yep.
So
Yep. And they really are just for our College of Engineering COE students. I used to work for the ECRC and I would kind of like man the door. So we have a map for our students. And if you weren't a COE student, I would not give you a map. So like it is like open, like our campus is like open. So like students could technically like walk around, but we weren't giving those maps out unless you were a COE student. So all right, another question came in. How did you find what you wanted to do in the master's program?
sorry, would you mind being a bit more specific, like what classes I wanted to take or
Right, a second. You can be a
yeah,
little bit more
sorry.
specific. Classes, yep.
Classes, yes. I would look at the reviews mostly. Hopefully you're coming into this with a few interests of your own, like how I came in with an interest in engines. So I was looking specifically for engine related classes or even hybrid classes. But I am forgetting the website now. Maybe Alicia knows it. There is a website where you can look at the reviews for the classes. You can even see what grades people got in the classes and how they divided the work and things like that. I would look at that. I would type in your interests in there and I would see what classes come up and then what people are saying about those classes. Because just like everywhere, there are some classes that are maybe a little more difficult than they should be, and you don't want to take those classes necessarily. So yeah, I just came in with a few interests and then I Googled, classes at University of Michigan and I found what classes there were to take. Unfortunately, some of them might be for undergraduates, so you'll have to watch out for that because I think you necessarily don't get credit if they're below a certain level because it's a master's program. But yeah, honestly, the classes I took come in with some interest. Google it, find a few websites that have reviews. That's my advice.
And you will have help with your course selections from your graduate coordinator, who's like your academic advisor. So they'll help you with your course selections and your plan of study to make sure that you're hitting like the requirements for the courses and hitting that like 30 total credits that you have to have and making sure that you're meeting like everything for graduation and stuff. So as long as you're meeting with them and, checking in with them that you'll have everything you need for graduation because that's key. You don't want to get to like graduation time and then be like,
Yeah.
oh, you're missing this, to graduate. So just make sure that you're checking in with them and letting them know what you want to kind of take too.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the program is like divided anymore, but it was divided into sort of several subjects that you had to meet the class requirements for. So that also gives you an idea of what sort of classes you should be looking for.
Yep, I can actually pull that up. Let me just stop sharing this and then I'll pull up our curriculum. Oh, there's
That
another.
might be a question for Alicia, not
Yep.
me.
Sorry, there's another question here. So the question is there any online option or weekend program for working professionals? I'm already in the automotive field. Perfect. So yes, so the program can be done fully on campus here in Ann Arbor or done fully online. So the online program can be done at your own like schedule. So now like exams, papers, assignments, things like that are going to have specific due dates that you have to like have those things in by. But as far as when you do the learning and things, that's completely on your schedule and when you want to do it. But as far as like when things have to be in by, that is on a schedule. But when you do the learning is completely up to you. We have a lot of students that are working full time and who choose to do the program part time. So that's something that we see a lot of our students doing. And then let me just get our auto curriculum up. All right, and I'll share with everybody. So Danielle, this might look pretty similar to when you were here. So it's broken into like 4 parts. So the integrative science piece, and then your program core, which of course makes sense, your core courses. And then the integrative science is where you can kind of go off and take courses from all across the university, you know, Ross School of Business, Art and Architecture, Public Policy, just naming some. They don't have to, just examples. Career pathways are a curated list of courses from influence from our alumni board of what they want to see our students have knowledge in. And then those are courses you can take for what you want to do in your career. The immersive practice, that's your capstone. That's required for all students. Even if you're working full time, don't worry, you can do it at your place of employment. We're not going to make you get another job to do it. But that's where you get to put everything that you've learned throughout the program to use and actually see like it come to fruition. So the courses, we also divide it into kind of areas of interest as well. So like global engineering leadership, innovation entrepreneurship. You all can scroll through this. I'll put the link in the chat so I'm not to read this all to you, but you'll see the different areas and then it lists course options for you to look at some of the courses that you might be interested in taking in these buckets. And then you can see up here the specific courses that are required and then how many credits in each of like these buckets you have to take. And that's where I mean your graduate coordinator will help you make sure that you're meeting all of these credit requirements. Good questions. I have another one for you. Sorry, Danielle. Oh, let me
That's
have
all
another.
right.
So the other question I have for you would be, would you overall, do you think you would recommend this program to others, like other prospective students or other colleagues that you work with?
Yes, I would recommend this program. I think what really matters is what you're looking to get out of the program, though. So you need to consider what you want out of it before I would say like fully, yes, you should definitely do this program or no, you shouldn't. So if you're looking to learn more, then yes. If you're looking just for something to put on your resume, then maybe no. It is I wouldn't honestly say it's more work or less work than undergraduate, but for some reason it was a lot harder than undergraduate, maybe because of how specific the courses were, or just after you've already got a degree, it's harder to go back and get another one. But I would definitely consider, do you really, really want this? Because it's definitely a great course. I would fully recommend it for someone like myself who was looking for something like this. But it is a time commitment, it is a financial commitment, unfortunately. And it does sort of put a pause on your life in terms of a career, depending on what you're looking for. So I think it really depends on the person to say fully 100% recommend. But for someone like me, yes, I would recommend it. It was great.
Love that answer. That's very thoughtful. And I think it's very true of any degree. It's dependent on the
Yes.
person and if you know you're gonna put the work in. So speaking of it's worth it to all of you, our applications are currently open for our spring summer semester and our fall semester. So the spring summer semester, we brought this up a little bit earlier, but the spring summer semester is online only. It doesn't have an on-campus option. So those deadlines, the March 15th is the regular admissions deadline, so that's coming up. And then the last deadline is April 15th. The fall semester deadlines are also open. So we're in the last deadlines here. So if you're an international student looking to be on campus, that deadline is March 15th. And then for all other applicants, the deadline is August 15th. So international students looking to be online or domestic students looking to be on campus or online is August 15th. And that's it's still quite a ways. I always recommend though, apply as soon as you're ready. Don't wait for the deadlines. So to apply, there is an application fee associated with it, 75 for domestic students, 90 for international students. Unfortunately, we have no application fee waivers. The minimum GPA is a 3.0 and our average is a 3.5. 3 letters of recommendation are required. These can come from faculty members or supervisors, managers if you're working full time. So sorry. The GRE is not required, but we highly recommend taking it if you're at that 3.0 minimum GPA. Your resume, your curriculum vitae you'll supply. There's 2 written statements, your academic statement of purpose and your personal statement. We recommend keeping these to 500 words each because it is holistic, the application review. So they're going to read everything. So try to keep those to 500 words. And then your official transcripts. And then for international students, those English proficiency exams as well. Again, I wanted to give you my contact information in case there's any questions that come up after this. Don't hesitate to reach out. This is my job. Please ask questions. I'm happy to answer them. If you have a question that you think Danielle could answer, please reach out to me and then I'll email it over to Danielle and see if she has the time to answer it. But she might be in Hawaii. We don't know. So we will see if she has the time to answer it. But otherwise, I'll do my best to answer it or ask our faculty if it's something to do with the courses or our graduate coordinator. So email works best, but I'm always happy to set up like a Zoom one-on-one or a phone call too. If there are no other questions, though, I just want to thank you all so much for joining tonight's webinar. I hope you found it helpful. I want to thank, again, Danielle, our alumni, so much for joining us and giving her time and answering these questions tonight. We so appreciate it. And thank you. And as always, go blue. Thank you all.